Welcome back to a jam-packed episode of Jori Sports Stories. As always, I'm your host Jori, and today we definitely have a lot to discuss regarding NFL, WNBA, NBA, and more. Today, we're breaking down both the NFC North and the AFC South, as well as delving into other training camp standouts and more. Over in the NBA, we discuss a big contract signing and some other things. Then over in the WNBA, we got some very interesting and snippy things going on. And for the return of Jori's Timeout session, we discuss a little bit about life and people. I deliver a small message that I just felt in my heart that I needed to get out. So we have a full episode planned for you guys. So tune in, turn your volume up, and let's get it. And we start this episode over in the NFL, where preseason is quickly approaching and training camp is in full swing. We break down the NFC North and the AFC South, break down the running back trade scenarios, and the training camp spotlights. This will probably be the meat of today's show. Pause. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, first thing we're going to start off in the NFL is we're going to start off in training camp. So there's a few things that need to be noted is like Joe Burrow's absence may or may not impact Cincy's start. They want him back for week 1, but if I'm Cincinnati and I'm anybody in that locker room or affiliated with that organization, I don't want him coming back until he's 100% healthy. I would rather try to trust in Trevor Siemian if need be comes down to it. I don't think Trevor Siemian will blatantly give them away a game. He won't go down there and win it, but he won't give it away either. But I believe that Cincinnati is built well enough to the part where they can survive a week or two without Joe Burrow. Now, if it's longer than that, then that's when we have some genuine concerns. But a week or two, no, they'll be all right. But he has a calf injury expected to take several weeks to recover from, but that should be general knowledge by now. But the season starts soon. So if he's not ready for week 1, I expect Joe Burrow to be ready for about week 3 or week 4. If it's longer than that, they're going to be in trouble. But that's neither here nor there. Breaking news. Baker Mayfield is struggling to win the job from Kyle Trask. Who's thrown the most interceptions in Bucs training camp? Baker Mayfield. Now, I was never one that was on the Baker Mayfield hype train. So when I say things like he's average, he's not all of that, people just like, well, he's a number 1 overall pick. That doesn't matter. You could be Mr. Irrelevant and be better than that. Like, Baker Mayfield is a very average quarterback. And if you he's an if quarterback, an if. Like, if your defense stands on his head, if your running game is excellent, if your receivers can catch inside and outside the numbers, if your receivers are good, if your offensive line is already stout, not either, he's an if quarterback. Everything has to go right for Baker to win a football game or to be able to lead a successful drive down the field. If it's not right, it won't happen. And like them 11 games don't really matter when you look at the grand scope of his career. How many times has he's put the ball in the other team's hand in the fourth quarter? How many times has he done that? I believe it's more than 11 times, but hey. Baker Mayfield is average, and I'm not surprised that he's struggling to win this job from Kyle Trask. That doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't. Now, what should happen is if he does end up losing this job to Kyle Trask, he needs to accept his role now as a backup. I believe he's more humble now than he was in the previous years. But he needs to accept his job as a backup, and he might turn into an NFL journeyman, and he needs to be okay with that. That's something that him and himself needs to be okay with. Because the teams that he go to, they're going to be perfectly fine with it. Because he's going to be dirt cheap. But the fall from grace from a former number 1 overall pick is dang near astonishing. And it's not Jamarcus Russell bad. And Jamarcus Russell was a rookie the year I was born, so I wouldn't know. But I've heard horror stories. It's not Jamarcus Russell bad. Baker has the drive. He wants to do it. He just can't. And he's just average. He's just not hyped up to what he was. But, I mean, he's just not what he was hyped up to be. That's just the problem there. But, next. Lamar has thrown a lot more interceptions in camp this year than in previous years. Now, can you stop licking my hand? My take on this is there's a new offensive coordinator since in a minute. There's a new offensive coordinator. You have some newer weapons. So, of course, the chemistry in Lamar is not that good in throwing the football outside the numbers anyway. Again, with the licking. Move! With Lamar being not as accurate as some of the other quarterbacks in his own division with throwing the ball. Of course this is going to happen. You have a new offensive coordinator. This should not be a surprise. Now, if this translates into the season, then we're going to have an issue. Now, don't be surprised. I don't want anybody to be surprised if this offense takes a little bit longer than expected to kick off like it is supposed to. New system, new OC. They got to get a feel for each other. This is brand new, So I'm not really looking into it as much as a lot of people are. But I understand that they're concerned. He's throwing picks and he doesn't really excel in throwing the football anyway, and he's throwing picks in practice. I understand the concern, but it's practice. The defense has to get their picks. Here's the thing. This is why I don't take it because it's practice. You're practicing against yourself. So the defense got to get their picks. That's how you know you got a good secondary or a decent secondary that can go get the ball. They got to get their picks. So Lamar throwing a whole bunch of picks really, and people overreacting to it, really doesn't make any type of sense. But if it translates into the regular season, then we have an issue or a problem that's starting. That's my take on that. And like I said, patience. This new offense could take some time. You got a new quarterback. You got a new offensive coordinator. You got new weapons. Rashad Bateman is coming back healthy. Hopefully he can stay healthy. What are you eating? Like I said. And then next, we got CJ Stroud. He will start the preseason opener. Now, I don't know why there was even a battle. I believe CJ Stroud is better than Davis Mills by long shot. But it's great for him to get them reps. He will be taking them reps week 1, too, because he's probably going to be the starter by week 1. This is a step towards making him the starter. This is. So I expect him to... Well, I'm not even finna say I expect him to do well. I expect him to look like a rookie. So take that how you want to take it. And then we got Jonathan Taylor is still holding in and does have leverage. He did leave the Colts to deal with an injury. And then Shane Steichen going to say that it has nothing to do with the contract situation. Now, this is a yes or no type of situation. Don't sit here and tell me that this contract doesn't have the whole mess of the whole hot mess that Jim Irsay did by himself does not contribute into Jonathan Taylor leaving. Yes, he has an injury, an an injury in his ankle. Yes, he's rehabbing the injury. Yes, he probably did leave for that. But to sit here and negate that the fact that this whole shenanigans happened, and that's that in his mind, that's another reason why he left, because he didn't want to be there in the first place. Look at the pictures. He didn't want to be there. Like, come on. Like, you can't sit here and negate and neglect the elephant in the room. That is a really big elephant. You're missing a running back. And you know Jonathan Taylor does have more leverage than what we like to think. He does. So, that's just on that. Now, we're going to talk about some of the running back situations. There's interest in Josh Jacobs. There is. Like, I heard that the Broncos wouldn't mind trading for him. The Chiefs wouldn't mind trading for him. Now, can you imagine Josh Jacobs on the Chiefs going to get him? That's scary. But the Chiefs have an issue with paying Chris Jones right now. So I don't think they are looking to add anything that's going to take away from Chris Jones. Denver could probably use a better running back, better quality running back, but they have decent pieces. That's the thing. They already have the decent pieces. And I don't think that the Raiders are going to be willing to trade Josh Jacobs in the division, much less the conference. If they're going to do something like that and get just flat out trade his rights away, they're going to trade him to the NFC, where he might have a better year. So, and for the most part, the fire in Indianapolis has slowed. I still believe that Jonathan Taylor wants out, and they're bringing in other running backs. Like, this is the life lesson of sometimes it just doesn't hurt to shut up. You could have just paid this man, and now he's upset, and you're getting running backs such as Alvin Kamara not Alvin Kamara. Dang it. Kareem Hunt. I'm sorry for misspeaking. Kareem Hunt. When you're bringing in Kareem Hunt and you wouldn't mind getting Dalvin Cook, all you gotta do is pay Jonathan Taylor. Like, come on. It's not that hard. All you had to do was shut up and negotiate. That's all you had to do. Like, this whole, you're bringing in other running backs when you have a running back that you just don't want to pay is really ridiculous. And then your backup running back breaks his arm. That's exactly what the Colts get for trying to play dirty. Because you're not setting up, like I said last week, they're not setting up Anthony Richardson for success. They're setting this man up for failure if you don't have Jonathan Taylor. That man is the Colts offense. It is. He is. Yes, they have decent tight ends and good receivers. But the reason why those players can play the way that they play is because of Jonathan Taylor. You got to stack the box to try to stop them. So, of course, the receivers are going to get open. They didn't have that issue. I had that issue. But now they're going to have bigger issues because Jonathan Taylor. And y'all not wanting to pay him. Ladies and gentlemen. Now, I heard Leonard Fournette and Ezekiel Elliott visit the Patriots. I think Leonard Fournette is finished, and I also think Ezekiel Elliott is finished. The only two running backs that I could see finding a job soon would be Kareem Hunt and Dalvin Cook. Them other two, they're finished, if you ask me. And now we're going to dive into a little bit of dysfunction. I was going to save this for the end, but I feel like the way I'm going to do these divisions, that's probably going to be how I'm going to end this segment with the divisions. But the Raiders still have some dysfunction going on. And I'm just going to tell you my idea about it, because I think I just went over the AFC West just a week or two ago. But Devontae Adams is not happy about Josh Jacobs not being there. Jimmy G may be struggling. Now, their defense has improved visibly in camp. And Josh McDaniels is still losing the bad coach narrative. Like, you get rid of Derek Carr for Jimmy Garoppolo. The front office is fine with not paying Josh Jacobs, apparently, even though he's the main reason why you won the 6 games that you won last year. You bring Devontae for Derek Carr, and then you get rid of Derek Carr. So he's pretty much not happy. Foster Moreau, Hunter Renfrow. Do you have somebody on the other end of on the other side of Devontae? I mean, you haven't drafted well in the past few years, so that's that. And then you got Josh McDaniels, who's just not a good head coach. His situational play calling is questionable. How he plays certain players is questionable. The stuff that happened to the Raiders last year, a lot of that was very questionable. He's a very questionable head coach. And we're finding that out. Now this year, and I know that Mark Davis with the man with that Edna bowl cut said that they can't keep firing coaches. But how much do you need to see to know that this man is not the answer to your problems? How much do you need to see that 10 plus 10 don't equal 100? 10 times 10 is 100, but you're not multiplying your results. You're barely adding wins together. So that's not that right there doesn't make any sense. 1 plus 1 don't equal 20. It's 2. What's going to be the point that ownership looks at GM and the ownership looks at this and is like, something's not right here. Correct me if I'm wrong. This year will probably be, if it's not going to be this year, it's going to be next year for sure. That's going to be make or break. Now, next, let's get into some recent transactions and how I feel about them. These are just a few that are just notable that eye pop to me. Maybe I have some insight about them, or maybe I just have some feelings about it. Titans released OL Jamarco Jones and then signed OL offensive lineman Justin Murray. Now, I'm going to go into it in a minute when I cover my Titans. It might be a minute before I get to my Titans. But Titans, them releasing Jamarco Jones, that's literally Mike Vrabel saying, I'm not tolerating any of this BS. You get right or you get left. Because that whole situation happened so damn quick, bro, that nobody had enough, it happened quick. So here's the breakdown of that situation. So Mr. Jones got into a fight with Jeffrey Simmons one practice. They were both sent to the sand pit and dismissed and whatnot. The next practice, he went and crack black blocked or did a chip block or something dirty to a defensive lineman, and he almost sparked another brawl with Azeez Al-Shaair, and that's what I'm reading, if that's what's correct. So, yeah. Mike Vrabel emphasizes we want to be physical, we want to be tough, but we want to do things the right way. And that was not the right way, and that's why Jamarco is gone. And that was his project kid, too. That was Mike Vrabel's project kid. Hold on one second. Yeah, that was Mike Vrabel's... Excuse me. That was Mike Vrabel's project kid. He's known that kid since high school. So, it's a stunning reality of what I'm looking at as the offensive line is concerned. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. And then the Raiders released tight end O.J. Howard. Now, this hits me to my core. Because I loved O.J. Howard. I'm a Bama girl, for real. I loved me some O.J. Howard when he was in college. Like him and Derek, like Derrick Henry, yes. They really made my weekends. So for me to see this man fail in the NFL consistently, and I know what he was in college, like did he go to the NFL and just get a case of the Butterfingers? Because he could catch. Do he just not have that dog in it? Do he not want it? Like, O.J. Howard was literally one of my favorite players to play at Alabama. And so I know how talented he is. I know what he's capable of doing. But for the past 7 to 8 years, 7 years, he's been struggling. Now, granted, one thing I will say about O.J. Howard and his situation is he was tossed into a dumpster fire in Tampa. Had he went to a better team, I feel like he would have had a better career and better development. But Tampa wasn't a very good team when they got him. Because they still had Jameis as their starting quarterback. If you remember that year, they did Hard Knocks. So I don't know what. Hopefully he could find another home. Like if we needed, I wouldn't be against us bringing in another blocking tight end. Well, the way my offensive line is shaping up, I wouldn't mind it, but I also understand if it don't happen. I just want him to get another opportunity. That's just fanfare freedom. Fandom. Dang it. Miami signed Eli Apple. Now, this is coming off of Jalen Ramsey being out for about a few weeks. He's not going to be gone until the second half of the season. He should be back in the middle of the season. But what does this mean? Good luck. Good luck with that, Miami. Because that man is not very good at doing anything, but when he get his lick back, he's going to run his mouth. That man is trash. But he's applesauce. But good luck with that, Miami, because that's y'all's problem, not anybody else's. And now we're going to go to our division breakdowns. We're going to start in the NFC North. And I'm going to start with the Vikings. The bottom line about the Vikings is that if that defense doesn't improve, they'll be in the same boat as they were last year. They did go get Brian Flores as a DC. So that defense should be on the road to recovery. 2, they need to be on the quarterback draft market, whether it's next year's or the year after or any time after, because we know what Kirk Cousins is. We know especially after 425, we know exactly what Kirk Cousins is. Like, we don't need to keep playing with ourselves here. Pause. But like, we know what Kirk Cousins is. We know what he is. We know what he isn't. He's not elite. He got an arm. He can make those throws. But when he's off, oh my God. I mean, oh my Lord. Like, come on. Other things to note about this team is that releasing Dalvin Cook may have been a mistake. Those behind him are unproven and they need to develop further. And they added another speedy receiver in Jordan Addison. That's a rookie that they drafted. My outlook on the Vikings, I know that they'll win games, and that's a fact. But I feel like that they'll do what they always do. Come playoff time and in the late parts of the season, they come apart. We all know what Kirk Cousins is, especially after 4 p.m., like I said. And that is not conducive to winning championships. That's barely conducive to winning a conference championship. And we all know that. So I know what to expect from the offense with the quarterback receiver wise. Like, you got Jordan Addison on the other side of Justin Jefferson. You have the decent tight ends. Kirk Cousins can get the ball there, and he can be accurate. But it'll keep him off the ground and he'll be even more accurate. But when he's off, he's just off. Defensively, they have to improve. They need to get better. And they have the pieces like Danielle Hunter and company. They need to get faster in the trenches. They do. Like last year's Minnesota Vikings team gave up so much yardage in games. It was ridiculous. Like you were surprised about how they won that many games because their defense was not that good. They should improve on everything that they lacked. They can't give up that type of yardage anymore. Because why do I say that? This division has improved with the Packers and the Packers. With the Lions and the Bears. We'll get into the Bears in a minute. But, so yeah. This defense cannot give up as many yards in this type of division this year. I don't think so. So my prediction is they'll be competitive in conference play or division. But when it comes to playing top-tier teams like the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Eagles, they don't compare. And in mid to late season, they'll do what they usually do and they'll collapse and come off that high. But I still think they'll have a winning record between 10 to 12 games. Next, we're going to talk about the Green Bay Packers. And the bottom line about the Packers is that patience is key. It's going to be key when it comes to this team. We don't know what to expect, especially when it comes to Jordan Love. 2, don't be surprised if this team takes a slight step back. Their outlook is like I said just a second ago. We don't know what to expect from Jordan Love, but what we do know is that they have a running game in Aaron Jones. They have youth in their receiving core. Christian Watson looks to be emerging into a star. Even though Mr. Discount Double Check did take a receiver or two with him, they were aging veterans, though. And those young receivers behind them weren't getting the time and the opportunity to develop and hone their skills because they were there. So, yeah, it's a good thing. It might be hard to digest for Packers fans, even though I think most of them are over Aaron Rodgers anyway. But you kind of got better by subtraction in a way. And their defense is mostly the same, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Their defense is mostly the same. So my biggest thing about the Packers and their defense is that they need to get it together quickly, like more quick than they did last season, and not in the middle to the end of the season. And I know what Jair Alexander is when it comes to him as a player, him being talented. I know what he is, but he's actually quite beatable at times as well. But again, the key for success for this team is to getting their rhythm, like gelling more quickly. Well, gelling more quickly sooner into the season. Like, they got to get it together. Because last year, it took them a few games. It took them damn near 2/3 of the season for them to get it together. That cannot happen this year. My outlook for the Packers, I feel like they'll win 8 to 9 games, maybe 7. 7 to 9 is their threshold. 7 to 9 games, I feel like they'll win. I mean, it is a slight step back from last year, but considering what they lost and so much that what we don't know about Jordan Love, even though their locker room tends to rave about Jordan Love, I don't know what he's gonna do. I haven't seen him, so that's why I'm saying like 7 to 8 games. 7 to 9 games, excuse me. Next, we're gonna talk about the Detroit Lions, and bottom line, they've improved. They've done the free agency thing well. They've drafted well. Defense, like the like the Packers. Defense should get rolling out the gate or faster than they did last year. Last year, it took a random switch for that defense to even get remotely right. And Aiden Hutchinson is a monster. They have those type of talent. They have the type of talent that cause issues. One thing about Detroit is that staying healthy will be key to them. They're getting Jamison Williams back. Even though they did lose DeAndre Swift. And they still have Amon-Ra St. Brown. So their wide receivers should be geared up and ready to go. The biggest thing that I'm having issues with is I know that Jared Goff is a very capable bridge quarterback. He's adequate enough. But are they win now or are they going to go try to get their quarterback for the future? Because if they're win now, the only thing that I feel like they are missing might be a few pieces on the line and a quarterback. Even though I feel like Jared Goff is still adequate. Like they lost Jamal Williams. They lost DeAndre Swift, but they brought in Jahmyr Gibbs. That's an upgrade. And they're not paying that much for Jahmyr Gibbs. Jamison Williams should be healthy. Him on the other side of Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be definitely a duo. Now, whether it's going to be a top 5 duo, I'm not sure, but they have the potential to do it. So, like, my prediction when it comes for the Detroit Lions is that they could high-key win the division. High-key. With the way that team is set up. I feel like they could be winning about 12 games. Give or take. Next, we're going to talk about the Bears. Now, because I know a little thing or two about some of these Bears moves because they took all my depth they took my depth out of my linebacker room. They took my depth out of my defensive lineman room. That defense should be way better than it was last year. That O-line probably is going to need to gel quicker. They did reinforce it. And before I even go into that, like, Justin Fields is going to have to step up this year. He might be, I don't know if he's entering a contract year, but he's going to have to. Time's up. There's no more excuses for you. I've been feeling so bad for Justin Fields because that offensive line has been terrible. They've given him Darnell Mooney and a pack of crackers for a receiving core, and that defense wasn't stopping a nosebleed. So, of course, you're going to feel for Justin Fields. But they fixed that defense. They fixed your protection. You have Chase Claypool, who's somewhat talented, even though I feel like his heart is more into modeling than he is into football. But that's neither here nor there. The wide receiver room has improved. It's still a little bit questionable, but you have better weapons. Now that you have DJ Moore, I forgot about DJ Moore. I don't know how I forgot about DJ Moore. But Justin Fields should be ready to take the next step. He should take the next step this season. And if he doesn't, it's time to start looking at Justin Fields. Because he already went on the record and say he feel like he's one of the best rushing quarterbacks in NFL history. You're not rushing by design. You're running for your life because you don't want to get hit. That's a difference. Now, if you would have said, I'm the best run for your life cornerback in NFL history, we could have had a different argument, but that's not the argument. You did that out of sheer desperation of getting on the ground, not because it was designed. Let's get that clear. But that's neither here nor there. They could also use a Dalvin Cook type running back too. to just kind of relieve some of the pressure off of Justin Fields using his legs. Even though it kind of makes him what's special, but you kind of don't want your quarterback to run a whole bunch. You don't. Hi, too. Sorry about that, but yeah. Okay. I can't talk today for whatever reason, so please deal with me for like 5 seconds. Let me get my crap together. So, I feel like the Chicago Bears won't be in the running for the number 1 pick this year. They should improve a lot. If they win 4 games, if they win 6 games, it'll be an improvement. They'll still be picking high. But I still feel like it'll be a step forward. They should win about 6 to 8 games. And that's a definite improvement from where they were last year. Make sense? So we talked about the did I do the whole NFC North? I think I did the whole NFC North. Okay. So that finishes the NFC side of things when it comes to our breakdowns. So, yeah. That finishes the NFC side of things. Now we're going to move on to the AFC. And I think I did AFC West like a week or 2 ago. But I'm going to do the AFC South. Next week, we're going to do the AFC North and the AFC East. Even though I think I did that too. But we'll do it again just to check my boxes. And then we'll go into preseason predictions. But for now, we're going to talk about the AFC South outlook. Well, my predictive outlook. Indianapolis Colts. The trash up a 65. I mean, I'm sorry, not trash. That was kind of mean. But it's funny because I live in Georgia, and I have family that lives in Indianapolis and in Gary. That's close to Chicago. So I know, like, all the roads that'll take you. Most of the road, like the interstates. Like, from my house to Nashville is 4 hours. My house to Indianapolis is add 4 hours. So it's 8 hours. My house to dang near Chicago is 12. But, like, we're talking about the team that's right on up 65. Well, if you're coming from Georgia, you're going to get on 75, then 24, then 65. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about the Colts. Excuse my rant. I got ADHD. Lord. Anthony, like, the bottom line for the Colts is, like, they're a mess. And I don't know what to expect. Did Shane Steichen know what he was getting into when he was... Did he know what he was getting into when he took this job? When it came to dealing with Irsay, who will sometimes just snatch the rug out from under you and make your job like 100 times harder than it really is? Did he figure that out about Irsay before he took this job? Because I don't think working under Irsay is for the faint of heart. I don't think it's for a rookie head coach. But that's neither here nor there. Anthony Richardson is not being set up for success right now with the drama going on. Patience is needed, though. But do you think the Colts deserve patience? Do they deserve it? No. But I'm willing to give them patience because of that young man, Anthony Richardson. Even though I know for a fact that he's not a good quarterback in throwing the football. Do I think we got another Lamar on our hands? Yes. When it comes to being an athlete. I'm not saying Anthony Richardson is going to be Lamar Jackson. I'm saying, you know exactly what I'm saying. I'm not trying to awake the purple feather brain right now. I'm not. Jordan, if you heard this, I'm not saying Anthony Richardson is going to be like Lamar Jackson. I'm saying that he's a freak of an athlete who kind of struggles throwing the ball kind of like Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying he's going to be better or as good as Lamar Jackson. Please Save your foolishness. That offensive line, which is now considered overpaid, has to play better this season. Like, bro, they were probably worse than my offensive line. And my offensive line was horrible. That offensive line with Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, and whoever else is going to have to play better this season. Especially if they want Anthony Richardson to survive being quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. Offensive line has to play better. Because if y'all think this man is the franchise quarterback and you're going to ruin him, we're might as well going to call this an Andrew Luck 2.0 situation. If you don't protect him. He got some people to throw to. He doesn't, the running back situation is sticky. But he has some people to throw to. He just needs to stay off the ground and not turn the ball over. Which I'm not so sure that's going to happen yet from a rookie quarterback that's expected to start. Now, your defense lost some pieces, but they should still be very stout. Now, and that Indianapolis defense got a lot more hell than what it should have because of the fact that they were on the field all the time, because your offense couldn't keep Matt Ryan off the ground, and Matt Ryan decided that he couldn't keep the ball out of other people's hands. And then, the bottom fell out the sky. The defense lost, and they did lose some pieces, but I feel like if they have a different and more fresh mentality, and kind of like this mindset with this new face of the franchise, that they need to do their part regardless, I feel like they will rebound from last year. And one thing else, there are players in that locker room who high-key want out. Like, Jim Irsay likes to toot his own horn, talking about we play good, we take care of our players. 3 players in 9 months have made it known that they want to be out. Jim Irsay does not like to look in the mirror. Or maybe he broke the mirror. And see that he's the problem here. His approach to dealing with people, athletes, is problematic. He doesn't see that, and I don't think he wants to see it. My outlook on these Colts is they're definitely going to be in a rebuild if they're not already. Because I feel like they're still going to be able to compete. I got to talk about this. I got to see this team twice this season. So I feel like they're still going to be able to compete, but it is going to look a little rough. I do think that the Colts fans, who are not the most patient fans in the world, they need to have some patience. They do. Because this is not an ideal situation that you want your rookie quarterback in. At all. At all. So, it's sticky. It's real sticky. So, but that defense, if that defense can, I don't know. If the defense can stay on his head, I still don't think this team is going to be a very good team, because we don't know what we're going to get from Anthony Richardson. That's the biggest thing. My prediction is they'll win 3 to 4 games. 3 to 6. On the nice side. Houston. Now, I'm not going to trash the Texans. I don't like their fans. But I'm not going to trash the Texans. That defense should improve under Ryans. They drafted Will Anderson, who I heard is hell. That the offense can't get nothing going on because of him. And they should stay healthy. CJ Stroud will find his way. They have a running game that's steady. Their O-line needs to improve minus Laramie Tunsil greatly for Stroud to have a chance. Like I said, but this whole division, minus a team or two. The next two teams, I feel like, are the only two that aren't in a rebuild, but they also have their issues. But the Houston Texans, they're going to win games this year. I thoroughly believe that the Houston Texans are going to win the games this year. Are they going to win a lot of games? Who knows? Probably not. But that's just because they have a rookie quarterback who's going to have to play his way kind of in the league. He's going to have to feel it for himself. Yeah, they got a rookie head coach, and pretty much everything's been turned on his head. So do I feel like this team is going places? Yes. Will they go very far in 2023? I don't think so. But the future is bright in Houston. I see a future in Houston. Even though I don't like their owner. That man is a racist. But that's neither here nor there. I don't like Houston's owner, but I still see the light in the end of the tunnel in spite of Houston, their owner. It's just, it is not going to be a 1-year fix. And if you're expecting a 1-year fix from this, you're going to be gladly mistaken, because this is not a 1-year job. No. And I feel like if the Houston Texans figure out that they can't just keep one and done in these coaches, especially black coaches, then they'll be all right. My Tennessee Titans. Lord. And I'm trying to be very real without using my Titan bias to kind of cloud my judgment. But here's some things that we need to consider. The right side of the O-line is a concern, but it is improving. If you hear from Derek and from other people around the Titans and stuff like that, they're saying that the offensive line is getting better day by day. That's all I can ask for. Because I just don't need a repeat of last year where Dennis Daly was yeeting across my screen. I just can't sit through that. I physically, emotionally, spiritually will not sit through that. DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks should fix some of these wide receiver roles. It's not going to just fix the on-the-field product. It's going to help my wide receiver room with developing like a Kyle Phillips, Colton Dowell, even Nick Westbrook-Akine. But yeah, even though I'm tired of seeing them. DeAndre Hopkins, the addition of DeAndre Hopkins is going to do more than what people think. And then you have my tight end like Chig Okonkwo. We have another pretty decent tight end, Josh Wild. He's a rookie. He's somebody to look forward to. So we got the receivers. We have the tight end. And I'm signed because I know I got to address Ryan Tannehill and my quarterback situation. Now, listen to me, goddammit. Listen. Quit damn trolling me talking about, I don't know who your damn quarterback is. Because that shit is irritating as hell. It is. Excuse my language. But y'all know damn well that Ryan Tannehill is not a goddamn scrub. So I'm tired of people acting like Ryan Tannehill is a scrub. And it was the Cincinnati game that made people think that he's a scrub. He's not a damn scrub, bro. He might have his tendencies where I feel like he's an above, slightly average to above average quarterback. That's a Ryan Tannehill. We can win with that. Duh. And the thing what really makes this wide receiver thing, my optimism about my wide receiver room so kind of unique is, did anybody who's listening know that Ryan Tannehill used to be a wide receiver? That's why the receivers love him. Because he can pretty much break these type of things down. He knows exactly what you need him to do. What he wants you to do. Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback. I'm so sick and tired of that BS narrative that he's trash. Cut that shit out. Period. Lord. And then my defense. Italians ain't got no defense. Yes, the hell we do. Okay, let's talk about the defense. The defense is faster and more aggressive. Look at this, because we've added very good pieces. We've added Arden Key. We've added Aziz Al-Shahir, who's a dog. Arden Key is quickly becoming one of my new favorites. And some others. Chris Moore, even though I think that's a receiver. Or is that a corner? One of those. But my defense, and we have Kevin Byard and we have Amani Hooker as safeties. So my D-Dango defense is going to be faster and more aggressive. Because if you imagine this, just listen. Because people really underrate my goddamn team because we're in a small market. And I really don't care. But let people keep sleeping and ticking me off. Because you're going to get more content just like this. So just imagine. Because this is how I'm going to break it down. On this line, I have Jeffrey Simmons. I have Danico Autry. I'm going to have Arden. I'm going to have Aziz one of my linebackers. I'm going to have Harold Landry as a linebacker. We're getting really good at pass rush. You're not going to be able to run the ball very much. My defense has been causing hell in practice all offseason. So my defense is going to be something to be quite scared of this season. Well, not scared of, intimidated by. My defense is stout. And for the whole Will Levis is number 2, if you looked at the whole unofficial depth chart, even though I know that means nothing, Malik Willis is 2. And Malik Willis has improved. And we can't just sit here and deny that. If we're going to deny that, then I need for people to start taking their eyes out, because he's definitely improved. His command of the football has improved. He's not just pat, 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 pat. He's making his reads. He's progressing through his reads. He's making these type of throws. Malik has potential. I don't know why people he just wasn't ready to play last year. Damn it. Last year, he was thrown into the fire. So my realistic prediction, and I don't give a damn who gets mad and listens to this, is this team has a chance to win the division. And we could go over 10 games. Minus the first part of the season where it's like the scheduling gods decided to give us hell. But we run through the AFC North. We run through the NFC South. And then we have our divisional opponents. Like, come on now. Week 1 is versus the Saints, who has a good defense, by the way. I feel like we could win the division. If not, be close, but still be a wild card team. I'm being realistic here. I feel like the way this team is constructed, with my running back not being washed, contrary to popular belief, and the system of running backs behind him with Tajay Spears and all of that, even though I'm not too high on Hassan Haskins because of his off the field, but his backfield is, the other running backs behind Derrick Henry are pretty decent. They're not Derrick Henry-esque. There's only one King Henry, but we're going to be fine. So any of you midget fans and you purple feather brains who happen to be listening to this, any of you midget fans and you members of the feather brain flock who want to get on my team, go check yourself. Because I'll be breaking down the AFC North next week. Just next week. Next, we're going to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence should make the next step. He should. Now, I caught a lot of hell for saying that I needed to see more from Trevor Lawrence. And I still stand on what the hell I said. Thank you. But I still do need to see more from Trevor. Even though I know what he's capable of. I know his potential. But I'm not, like, people are so quick to disregard his rookie year and just put it all on Urban. No. Did he not throw a whole bunch of damn picks in year 1, and then he only threw 3 less in year 2? Like, come on. That man is a gunslinger. So the way I analyze Trevor Lawrence is he's a gunslinger. If with a gunslinger, he's either high risk or high reward. That's the type of player that we're going to get. So we have all these type of weapons for this team, but this team barely beat my team twice last year. And my team was injured all the hell, beat all the hell. Barely beat us. So, like, yeah, they should improve. Their defense is definitely going to be a concern. We took one of their best defensive players. Cheese. They do have the weapons, though. I believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars will be more competitive this year. But I also think it's time to hold our horses here. And let's look at it a little differently. Instead of just crowning them the kings of the division, like, chill out. Like, this division, like, there's not at least one competitive team in this division, even though the division as a whole is weak. Just crowning Jacksonville is not going to work, because you're going to end up pissing my team off, and we all know how they play when they're pissed. Ask Buffalo. So, yes, I do think they will be successful. They do have Calvin Ridley. They have Evan Ingram. They have a decent running back. Is it Etienne? Yeah, Travis Etienne in Jacksonville. Or is it James Robinson is not a part of Jaguars anymore? Urban Meyer ruined that. But they have the weapons. They have them. I feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars will take the next step. They'll take another step towards the right direction. But at the same time, we don't need to be just crowning them the division. They can win the division, and they'll either come in. Well, let me redo my sentence. My realistic outlook about the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 things. They either win the division or they'll be second. And that's just me being real about that. And now for a brief stint with the NBA. And we're going to talk about what AD's extension means for the Lakers and some other stuff as well, like Ricky Rubio putting his career on pause and some other things. So without much more, let's get into it. All right, so first thing we're going to discuss is the Lakers and Anthony Davis reach an $186 million extension through 2028. What does this mean for LA? Well, it means that they have their big man, and it also means that Anthony Davis might be willing to more mentally buy in because he's financially secure. It means that. What this really does for LA is they're getting ready, because it's time to be completely honest right now. They might be getting ready it's time to start looking at life after LeBron James, if we're being completely honest. So, what I believe that Jeannie Buss and the Lakers are doing is they're getting ready to build that team around Anthony Davis. Fingers crossed he doesn't do the 80 thing and go all Charmin Ultra Soft on me. You have the incentive to be healthy and to not be hurt and to be in the zone all the time. Like, people get on him about his offensive inefficiency. He's been like this since college. What I want for AD is, when it comes down to it, show up. He does what he does. He's a stud defensively. He's definitely one of the best defensive players in the league that we have right now. And when he gets going offensively, that's when he's trouble. But I love this for my Lakers. I do. I really, really do. Because you're building this team around Anthony Davis. You have Rui. You have Reeves. We still got D'Lo? I'm not so sure if we do, but we have Gabe Vincent and others. Really, Bella? We have Gabe Vincent and others that can around him that'll make this team more competitive than it would, even more competitive. So I like the whole AD. I like the fact that the Lakers and AD reached an extension. They had to. The way that the league is going right now with everybody's getting bigs. And it's because of Jokic that everybody is getting these bigs. So that everybody minus the Warriors are going bigger. So they keep their big, they still have their size, and they build around that and some shooters and people who can do it, that can do 3-and-D and who can just run the court. I love it. Next, I said this was going to be a very brief topic, docket for the NBA, because this is a football-heavy episode. Jaren Jackson Jr. says the Grizzlies need to navigate being without Ja Morant. Y'all haven't figured that out? Y'all haven't figured that out by now? They should have been figured out how to navigate without Ja. They didn't have him. There's been stretches where they haven't had Ja. But this season might be the first season that he might be gone as long as he's going to be gone. He's going to be gone at least a quarter of the season. So, a little bit over a quarter of the season. So, they're going to have to navigate. But it makes it hard to navigate when you trade away the number 2 option in Tyus Jones. So, I agree. They're going to have to figure out a way to navigate. But they have Marcus Smart. So Marcus Smart can help them navigate through life without Ja for 25 games. And you can argue sometimes they look better when Ja is not even playing. So they look better when he's not on the court. So navigating life without Ja for 25 games should not be very difficult for the Grizzlies. If we're being completely honest here, that should not be very difficult. And the Cavs point guard Ricky Rubio has decided to pause his career to focus on his mental health. Now, when we discuss things here, I just want to give a big old round of applause to him for realizing that there's an issue, that something isn't right, and just putting his life on pause to go get it right. Now, I don't know if he's going to come back, but I find that very admirable and very strong as somebody who kind of struggles with her mental health on a daily basis. I have ADHD, so my shit always stuff always kind of off. But he's walking away from a game that he loves to go take care of his head. And I wish I could do that. I wish I could stop working and go check myself into rehab and figure out all my issues and fix them. I wish I could do that. So that's why I feel like that's a very admirable and strong. And I'm 100% here for it. The basketball will be here when you feel your best, Mr. Rubio. I wish nothing but success and peace in your journey. And now for the WNBA, where apparently ain't none sweet and it's all smoke right now. So we'll be discussing some of the Liberty spanking the Aces and more of the drama in this fiery segment. So let's get it. All right. So the Liberty spanked the Aces 99-61. And it sparked an outrageous overreaction, including people hopping in on A'ja Wilson because she shot 2 for 14. And then she ended up turning around. They beat whoever they played next, and she had 28 points, 14 rebounds, and an assist. So what happened to them versus the Liberty was literally long overdue. Like, they were due for a loss, and they were due for a stinker. So I don't know why this sparked such outrageous overreaction. A'ja Wilson is still arguably one of the best players in the WNBA. We're not going to get that wrong. And the Las Vegas Aces are still one of the best teams. And that's just on that. Argue with your mama. Don't argue with me. Because you're going to be arguing to a wall. because I don't listen. It's like I got this selective listening skills that if you have ADHD, you pick and choose when you want to listen. Period. So don't argue with me about that. This was a one-off thing. I don't think this is going to happen again this season. It may not, but it's an outrageous overreaction. But to get beat by that, by 38 points, that's a little rough. And I feel like every week I get on here and I start ranting about the Indiana Fever not doing enough when it comes to Aaliyah Boston. But it is what it is. The Fever aren't a good team. They're not very well coached. There's favoritism in that locker room. Aaliyah Boston was drafted into a hot mess. A nice period. Because she had a career-tying double-double in a losing effort versus Atlanta. Like, I don't understand what's going on. And while I'm at it, because I'm thinking about it as I'm talking, the guard play from Indiana has been very inconsistent. Like, sometimes they get good guard play, sometimes they don't. And when you don't get good guard play consistently, it's really troubling. And the one thing about the Fever that I can't stand, I can't stand it, is why can't they finish games? Like, they just can't, for whatever reason, they don't close games. This is not on Aaliyah Boston. This is not just her fault, because there's people, when she's open, that don't even look her way. She don't get the ball nearly as much as she should. So I don't know, and the coaches call some very questionable things when it comes to the end of the game, when it comes to this Fever team. So it's like the Fever are just a hot mess, and I'm really willing to accept that at this point. Next, we got the New York Liberty is starting to really pick up steam. They've been rattling off wins left and right. Now, in the beginning, it looked a little rough, but they had to get their legs out from under them. And now, where teams are starting to make their postseason push for seeding, is where you need to be playing your best basketball. The New York Liberty's gotten it together at the right time, and I love that for them. Because now we can say that they're a super team because they're playing like it. And the Chicago Sky and the Dallas Wings get chippy in a close dub for Chicago. And this went to social media. And when Dana Evans replied to that girl, Odyssey Sims, I'm like, God, because she killed him. I can't really pull it up right now because I'm using my phone to record, but she killed him. And this week in the WNBA has been very spicy. Now, one thing I'm not going to cover until I look up what actually happened and make my own deductive reasoning and do my own cross-examination, do my own type of research about it, is the whole Liz Cambage thing. We'll probably discuss that next week because I understand that Liz she said some pretty nasty things about the Nigerian people, the Nigerian women's basketball team. And she quit on the Sparks. She quit on the Aces. And there's a whole bunch of things going on about that. So we'll kind of discuss that next week when I get my notes together about that. Because that was a lot, and I didn't have enough time to really gather my information about that to talk about it. For real. So next week, stay tuned for Liz Cambage talk. But for right now, we're just going to head right on into Jori's timeout session. This week's timeout session ain't even about sports right now. We're going to take the sports out of it. It's about life and people. I have a message that I know a few people need to hear. And if you don't like it, go cry to your mama about it. This is serious. So sit down and listen to a real one speak. Let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask a question, and I know I'm not going to get an answer, but I just want people to think. What is a person's biggest downfall? Is it medical reasons? Is it mental reasons? Is it physical reasons? Like, just think. What is going to be your biggest downfall at the end of the day? Like, what's going to be your biggest downfall? Some people say mental illness. Some people say natural lives and things. But that's purely superficial. Like, let's peel back these layers. Okay. So, my opinion and the way that I think about this is when you think about the downfall, like a mental downfall, a person's downfall, things not going your way. And you think about the things, like deep down inside, we as people know why things don't go right, right? And it comes down to two words: hubris and ego are a person's biggest downfall. And there's so many situations in today that we can literally point at things that just happened, like the Titanic submarine thing. That's because of hubris and ego. Baker Mayfield being willing to just Baker Mayfield's downfall. That's because of ego. If you walk around here like you big pimping and that you don't have any flaws, you literally end up alienating people who support you. So if you think that it's okay to walk around here like you don't stink and that there's things that you can improve on, and that if you have your head so far up your ass that you can't see out your throat, that is the recipe for the most humbling and the most devastating, humbling fall from grace ever. So my message when it comes to this is like, keep your head on the swivel. Understand, everybody's not going to like what you do. Everybody's not going to like you. But be likable. Don't sit here and walk around here like you're just all of this, a pack of crackers and a bag of chips. Because I pop bags of chips. And I eat crackers. So, you walk around here like that. And you have this, I don't know why this is happening to me type of mentality. Oh, it's because you're a shitty person. Hubris and ego are a person's biggest downfall. And if you don't check your crap before you walk through a door and act accordingly, you're setting yourself up. Because all of that is just going to come back to bite you in the butt. Am I lying or am I lying? It's all going to come back to bite you in the butt. Next thing I want to talk about, this whole snake in the grass and nasty personalities things. And this is really going to hit a few strands. Because some people have the ability to tell a snake by their personality like me. Like I know. I read people for filth. I read people for what they are. And that's because I've been through so much crap in my life that I see people. I see through what people want me to see. Make sense? Okay. So when you're dealing with a snake or somebody that you think is a snake, it's always going to be important to keep your grass cut. Because the second you get too comfortable and you let that grass grow and you walk up in that lawn, it's going to bite you. That's just how life goes. So, and if we're being completely honest, if you know you got a snake in the grass, get rid of it. Kill it. Like, kill it. Like, and my thing about it is, like, most of these people who out themselves as snakes have nasty personalities. When I mean nasty, I'm talking about they got the whole hubris and ego thing. They're just bad people. They're manipulative. They're just bad people. And if you're going to deal with something like that, somebody like that, you better be a pretty bad person yourself, or you better have that ability to get there. See, me personally, I'll take it there. You go low, I go to hell. You go to hell, I'm going to the ninth circle. That's just how I'm going to do it. So, when you deal with these type of people, you just have to watch what they say. Like, if they're talking to you about people and being nasty about other people, do you think they're not doing the same thing to them exact same people, but about you? Common sense. Common sense. And I might catch some flack about this. I really don't give a damn. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me about it. If the damn shoe fits, damn wear it. And tie the goddamn laces. Damn it. And then personal accountability. We can't just have this, oh, woe is me type of thing and paint other people as the bad person. Like, that's BS. Get your together. Hold yourself accountable for starting mess. For doing what you did to lead to the outcome. Like, I can't stand people that aren't accountable. It doesn't even make sense. Because I hold myself accountable for my failures. I hold myself accountable for my successes. I hold myself accountable for pretty much anything that I do. Whether it's my intention to do something bad or not. I hold myself accountable. So these people who go on these damn social media networks with these goddamn Twitter fingers and start saying a whole bunch of nothing but avoiding personal accountability, you get no points from me. You get no cookie points from me. You ain't nothing but a no good idiot if you can't hold yourself accountable and you can't see how you started this whole damn situation. Like, and I'm not throwing shots. I'm not shooting my shade. Like, come on. I need people to have some damn empathy, some empathy, and some sense. You wouldn't want anybody, don't do unto others as you wouldn't want done unto you. And you know exactly what I'm trying to say here. Because I've had a situation where I've been unleashed on, correct? I have been unleashed on. It was recent. And then when I got my lick back, they didn't like it. Don't do to me that you wouldn't like it if I did to you. Because if you're going to do it to me, I'm going to get my lick back regardless. That's just the type of person I am. I hate that I am that way. But it's a defense mechanism. I am the way that I am. You shoot at me, I'm going to shoot back. And that's just it. But personal accountability. This world is going to hell. Lord. And then next is a little light fun topic. Being afraid to shoot your shot. And I'm not talking about shooting your shot at a man or a woman or whatever you're into. I mean, I am, but not really. But relationship-wise and aspiration-wise, shoot your shot. Like, I live in this thing where I just get so anxious to put myself out there, to make it be known that I'm interested in anybody or anything like that. And it's just due to general anxiety. I do have anxiety pretty bad, but fear of rejection, but I will do it. Once I get myself over there and put my one foot in front of the other, it's fine. Because I shoot and I don't miss. Everything that pretty much almost anything that I put my mind to, I did it. I went to the University of Alabama, albeit for one semester because a man couldn't keep his damn hands to himself. But I damn did it. Like I started my podcast, even though I was scared. I did it. So, shoot your shot. Everything that's for you, whether it's relationship-wise, aspiration-wise, like me, my next shot is getting my ass back in school. And I'm going to do it, and I'm going to finish it. So shoot your shot, do it. And it's something that I myself needed to hear, but I wanted to get this out there so just in case anybody else needed to hear. Like, maybe there might be some dude that you want. Not talking to anybody in particular, but shoot your shot. Like, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And me, my shooting percentage is 99.8. Like, we're not doing that. But, yeah. Go for gold. Go for gold. That's my message. And be a decent human being. That's the bigger message here. Y'all know the deal. You've reached the conclusion of this week's edition of Jori Sports Stories, and thank y'all for listening to me today. If you liked any of what you heard, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Hit that bell button. Follow us on social media as well for more. Join us next week as we break down the AFC North and the AFC East and more. Stay tuned for a special surprise next week. Once again, thank y'all for listening to me today, and I'll see y'all next week.